What's going on, everyone? The Cleveland Cavaliers acquired Donovan Mitchell, and they were the biggest winners, right? Usually when you get the star, you're the winner. Now, obviously, the Jazz, they made out like bandits, though, too. I mean, they got Colin Sexton. They ended up getting Laurie Markin. They ended up getting Ochai, who could very well be a solid role player for them. We'll see what he develops into. They also got 3 unprotected first-round picks, although the picks probably aren't going to be too great because Cleveland, I imagine, is going to be pretty good. And of course, they got the 2 pick swaps, but those might not even be used because, again, Cleveland's probably going to be pretty good for the foreseeable future. But nonetheless, the Jazz got some assets for a team that is rebuilding. The Cavs came out of complete left field. No one thought the Cavs were going to get Donovan Mitchell. I don't even think the Cavs were even mentioned as a destination for Donovan Mitchell, but just like a ninja in the night, just swooped in and stole Donovan Mitchell, and making the biggest losers of the Donovan Mitchell trade, hands down, the New York Knicks, right? Because the New York Knicks, they were the team that everyone thought was going to get Donovan Mitchell. They were the ones that were putting together trade packages. They were the ones that were constantly in and out of negotiations for Donovan Mitchell. I don't know why they wanted Donovan Mitchell when they just signed Jalen Brunson, but nonetheless, they wanted to acquire Donovan Mitchell. And then Knicks kept playing hardball. The Knicks decided to extend RJ Barrett instead of including him in the trade. And so the Jazz went, all right, this is what we're going to do, and ended up trading Donovan Mitchell to Cleveland. But what happened to the Jazz? Why didn't the Jazz get an opportunity, or why didn't the Jazz give the Knicks an opportunity to actually, try to up the deal? Maybe if they had this deal in place, they could have went to the Knicks and said, hey, we got this deal. You want to beat it, or do you want us to trade Donovan Mitchell to the Cavs? But according to reports per Woj, Jazz didn't let the Knicks counter. Knicks thought they were in the driver's seat for Spida trade, but didn't get a chance to top the Cavs offer. And Woj further went on to say, Jazz turned down huge Knicks offer. Now, we don't know how true this is. We don't know if this is real. We don't know what. But supposedly, per Woj, Knicks offered RJ Barrett, Toppin, Mitchell Robinson, and 3 unprotected first-round picks for Spida. Now, if this is true, I don't know why the Jazz didn't take this deal. You would have got Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett, and Toppin plus 3 first-round picks. I don't know why the Knicks would ever even offer this package for Donovan Mitchell. Again, you have Jalen Brunson. I mean, if they ended up making this trade, Knicks all over again. This just doesn't seem like a trade that Leon Rose would have made for Donovan Mitchell. I just don't see this being the case. What this kind of feels like to me, and I could be wrong, again, I don't know, but what this feels like to me is the Knicks releasing a report that's like, oh, we were going to do this to kind of try to make the Jazz look silly. I think that's what this is. I think the Knicks are upset that they didn't get Donovan Mitchell, and so they're throwing out some ridiculous trade package that they were willing to offer, but in reality, they were never going to offer this. That's what I think this is. But again, I could be wrong. Nonetheless, this trade, if this trade was really on the table, I have no idea why Utah didn't pull the trigger on this. Because if you would have gotten RJ Barrett, Toppin, and Mitchell Robinson in a deal for Donovan Mitchell, and you get 3 firsts on top of it, that's better than the Cavs deal, in my opinion. I think that is way better than the Cavs deal, in my opinion. But again, I don't think that trade is something that legitimately happened. I don't think that they would have included those 3 players, those 3 players alone for Donovan Mitchell plus a first, because the last report we heard was RJ Barrett and 2 firsts. How did they go from RJ Barrett and 2 firsts to RJ Toppin, Mitchell Robinson, and on top of that, 3 first-round picks? Like, there was no negotiation in between? It just doesn't add up to me. I think this is the Knicks that are upset and big mad, insert crying Jordan meme. That's what I think this is. I think that this is the Knicks going, oh, well, if they would have just waited, or if they would have let us have an opportunity to try to, up our ante for Donovan Mitchell, this is what we were willing to offer to compete with the Cleveland Cavaliers trade. I don't buy it for a second. I really don't. It makes no sense. Donovan Mitchell was not going to make the Knicks that much better. I think he makes the Cavs a lot more better than what the Knicks would have been with him, because I just think Cleveland has everything already in place except for that go-to scorer and shot creator and things like that. I think Mitchell is a perfect plug and play for this Cavs team. I don't think he makes a lot of sense for the Knicks. He's essentially the same player as Jalen Brunson. They're both 6'1". Donovan Mitchell has a longer wingspan, but they have very similar play styles. Their backcourt defensively would have been atrocious, and you're going to trade Mitchell Robinson in that deal, right? I mean, top it, like, it makes no sense to me. And look, there were reports that Tibbs wanted to keep Quentin Grimes over RJ Barrett because he liked his shooting and his defense. And especially if you go and get Donovan Mitchell, you don't need a guy that can necessarily go get you 20 a night. You want a guy that can play some defense and, be a lights out shooter. And that's what they think Grimes was potentially going to be. I think Knicks are big mad and they are just throwing out reports of like, oh yeah, this is what we were going to do. But the big bad Utah Jazz decided to go. Like, I think this was the best thing that could have happened to the Knicks, if I'm being honest. If this deal was a legit deal, like, I just don't know what the Knicks were thinking. I don't know what Leon Rose was thinking. This makes absolutely no sense to me on why the Knicks would give up that much for a player that you already have on your team. Like, Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson aren't going to make you a contender. They're not. They might make you terrible. You're going to be great offensively, but you're going to be terrible defensively, especially if you trade Mitchell Robinson. It doesn't add up to me. I just think that this doesn't really make sense in my opinion. I think that, the Knicks, I've said from day one that I thought Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks didn't make sense, but it legit looked like they were the team that were going to acquire him. They had the assets, they had the pieces, but look, if you're the Knicks, I think this is the best thing that could have happened because in 6 months, a year, whatever, sooner or later, there's going to be another star that wants out. And you're going to have all these draft picks, all these players, this, that, and the other, and you're going to have a real opportunity to go and acquire that player. Now, if you would have went and traded for Donovan Mitchell, you would have been able to do that unless you're trading Donovan Mitchell or Jalen Brunson. I just think the Knicks are in a good position still they got Jalen Brunson, like, see what your team is, see what you got. You got all those draft picks. You got that treasure trove. Wait to see what would have happened. Wait to see what develops. Wait to see what players end up coming out of the woodworks. Stars seem to want out regularly. Maybe another star wants out, and now you're primed and ready to go. And maybe this time you won't mess around. Maybe this time you won't try to play hardball. I think Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks. I think it didn't make sense for the Knicks. I don't think it made a lot of sense for Donovan Mitchell either. I get it. It's his home. He wanted to be there. It's a place to be. But it's not like the Knicks have a ton of young, great talent, but they have a lot of like bad contracts and a team that doesn't really look like they mesh well together. And you're going to be playing alongside Jalen Brunson, who is basically 2.0 of you. I don't think that really made a lot of sense. Now you basically have your team in place if you're the Knicks, and now you're just looking to make, a solid deal when that deal presents itself. That's what I think. I don't know. It's an interesting place to be in if you're the Knicks. Look, the Knicks definitely got to hold this L. I really think so, just because they tried so hard to go and get Donovan Mitchell. But in the end, it doesn't even matter, quote unquote. Hey, look, like that little plug. But no, in all seriousness, like I think that, I think that they got to hold this out. But I do think that they get a W too because this didn't happen. But it's not because they didn't want it to happen. It's because the Jazz basically saved them. That's what this was. I'm sorry. It's just the Knicks are the Knicks. It's sad. And I've said repeatedly on this channel, I think the Knicks being good at the game of basketball is great for the game of basketball. I would love to see the Knicks be good once again. They haven't been a legit contender in like 30 years. They've had some solid teams, but none of them were legit contenders. None of them were, better than a second round exit. It's been a mess for the Knicks, and it's just been bad ownership, bad management, this, that, and the other. Leon Rose, if he really was, I wouldn't even have put that trade offer out there. I would have kept that to myself because that is a terrible trade. And you're just making the same mistakes all over again that the past GMs would have done. But I think it's just like, F you type thing. I think that's what this is. But anyway, those are my thoughts and opinions. And as always, I pass the question on to you. Let me know yours down in the comment section below. What do you think? Do you think the Knicks really dodged a bullet? Think the Knicks took a big L here? Who do you think won the trade? However you feel about it, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. One last little shameless plug is I did start As It Stands Lakers. It is a channel just like this, dedicated to only the Lakers, because the Lakers are my favorite team. And on this channel, As It Stands, I talk about all teams, all sports, stuff like that. We have football season coming up, so I'm definitely looking forward to that as well. And I just wanted to make a dedicated channel to the Lakers to give the ins and outs. Now, all the big stuff, all the big news and stuff, I will still post here on this channel. But if you want all the ins and outs and just rumors and theories and just discussions just strictly on the Lakers, link down in the description or in the comment section. Go check out the channel, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot, lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.